Hello, everyone. I am Mariel Nilo. Thank you for being here. Thank you for giving us this space. We are very excited to talk to you. I am working at Wiseline, and we handle everything about what we have to do so that a developer is successful. This is part of our job, and this is part of our activity as discipline leads. So who are you? I am Joaquín Bravo. I am a software engineer in Wiseline. I started as a software engineer, and 2 years I was a software engineer. And my past year, I am an engineering manager. I am a discipline lead to this coaching labor that we do. And we wanted to share about this work that we do, that it's relevant to all of us and not just Wiseline engineers. So how to become a Mr. or Mrs. developer. And talking a little bit about what we see from Wiseline, because books that are recommended a lot are these books like Design Patterns, Clean Code, The Pragmatic Programmer. And oftentimes they are the cake of professional development. We love the technical part, and this is what we're passionate about. And this is what made us go into this area. This is where our taste for programming and building comes from. But this is just a slice of the cake. So what we wanted to share is this vision about professional development in Wiseline, that perhaps more people have it, and there are more books than these that are recommended. And what we want is to go over these things, which we believe are really important, that it's not just technical skills or mastering the technical skills what makes you a great programmer, but also these soft skills or power skills, which are communication, leadership, strategic vision, adaptability, and growth mindset, and a business vision. We even wanted to share, and this is in the link, we are going to share the link for this presentation. And this is our engineering ladder, which is precisely what we use at Wiseline to be able to map and tell people what are the expectations that we have for them when they are hired at Wiseline. And I think that's very valid for people who are outside Wiseline. So we can say that we have levels of engineering from the most junior to the most senior, with some very fancy degrees such as staff software engineer or principal engineer. And this is what we want to say about how they are seen and how they are mapped. And you can open this table and you can comment on that. We are always modifying it. We're always working on a new version, but it's not ready yet. But if you have any questions, and if you can use it to map yourselves and to set professional goals, and not just goals, because I always investigate and research more technologies, but there are always things that we can improve on. And there is also a mind map that Mariel worked on. We're not going to check it here, but it's also about soft skills and things that you can learn with a lot of resources, and that we share here in Wiseline with books and videos and things that you can research about all these topics, such as leadership, communication, cooperation, growth mentality. And I think this is very good material that we can share. And to give you a few examples, one of these is planning. A junior engineer expects that they are assigned some tasks and they are about to do those tasks, and perhaps they expect to receive some help because they have just graduated, and they as soon as they grow, they can start cooperating and having more impact. So perhaps in planning matters, They begin to contributing to defining goals, and as they grow, this is not something that they do once in a while, but they become the person that defines the scope of the project and align to the business strategy and helps everyone else in the technical team to understand these technical requirements to implement the right solutions. And going up in the ladder, you can have this a larger impact as you go up, and the planning that you make improves the stability of the business, develops new competencies. And this is just in the planning side. This is something that we're adapting to the new ladder, and this is an innovation engine that is talking about how we experiment and innovate in our day-to-day. A junior engineer is just learning, so we expect that they experiment a lot to learn how things work, that run them locally and see if it fails. And this is normal innovation to make this experiment. But as you grow and you acquire experience and you have more impact, we hope that these experiments create value and impact directly the daily tasks, not only help you understanding how things work, but impact the work of your teammates and the way they develop, or that they can help new business that has impact for the clients. And at the upper levels, that they allow us to explore new markets. And this is something that we do continuously. It's not about just a principal engineering, not experimenting. This is a ladder. You always have to be experiencing, but that you develop that vision so that those experiments can have a larger impact. And if you see, the key word is impact. Impact is the word that better describes what we expect out of the growth of a person, not just an engineer in Wiseland, but in the industry. Because at the senior level, it's a personal impact. You need a little bit of help, but then you grow and start impacting your team, and you own parts of the system. Or perhaps your impact goes beyond your team because it leads the client relationship with other stakeholders, with staff level. Perhaps you impact the entire account, the entire client, the entire project because of this planning and innovation or technical impact. And a principal engineer, it sounds very romantic, but here we have talks from people who have that impact in the industry with related roles, which are keynote speakers in conferences, or that they organize conferences, or just within their projects, they help bring new projects. So that's an impact. And we like to believe that companies such as Wiseline or any other company that is investing in Mexico and that does it well, such as Luxoft, Oracle, HP, which was here long ago, they had a large impact in Mexico's industry. So that impact, if you can help your businesses grow, such as Magma Labs, who has a lot of impact for the Ruby on Rails community in Colima, that impact affects the entire industry in certain region just for doing things well. These were some examples of an impact on the industry, and it sounds very large, but there are a lot of ways of having that impact, such as organizing a talk, giving a talk. So congratulations to the organizers of this event. And of course, from here, we can go to your side, Mariel. And before that, we would also like to talk to you about the ideas that we have created and the culture that we have created of how we begin to ask and to assume in Wiseline. Because the things we have noticed a lot is that sometimes we have this inclination to start to assume things, and sometimes we're trying to guess and wasting time trying to invent the wheel that is already there. So some things that we have been working a lot in and that have helped us to have successful engineer careers is that we start working a lot in not assuming but asking, creating a culture of asking. So to feel safe when we're asking, we have something that we call this psychological safety that any person is entitled to, and it is to feel safe in their workplace, feeling safe about asking without feeling judged, to give your opinion if you need to give it. So some things that we have seen that are key to the growth of a person is to have a culture of asking instead of assuming, because the culture of assuming is a given in our families, because somebody asks about, hey, can I stay at your house, and you prefer not to ask unless you know that people can receive you, so that you are not um, offending someone. So it's not a culture of assuming but offering. But in a business environment, it's better to have this difference, that with my family I'm going to keep having this culture of assuming or offering, but at work I better have this custom of asking. And the more senior you are expected to just ask things that perhaps may sound silly, but someone who is very junior, someone new, does not make. So the more senior you are, the more questions you should ask. So since you start at your job, please make those questions. If you don't understand something, it's not just you. Perhaps clearing that up is going to help everyone. And I think that this incentivizes our feeling of community, which as professionals in an environment, in a development environment, we are entitled to. Having a community that has your back, that you feel free to ask from and to obtain knowledge and share knowledge with. This is about asking and offering. And the other topic that joins this together, because what Joaquín has said is that when you are growing in your career, and we have seen this a lot at Wiseline, is that you have different impact in different areas. First is just you, and then your teammates, and then you impact the project, and then you impact an account, and then you just impact the whole company and even the industry, which is what I was saying, that perhaps it's very romantic, but it is possible. And this is something that we have learned with JSConf. And there are people who have been pioneers and the change factor in many things. And this is about psychological safety and also motivation. Continuous motivation about growing. This is the continuous motivation about, because it does not matter what are the external factors, the variables, what's happening in the world, in the software environments, that you have the skill to motivate yourself. And what we want to talk about is this initiative that we have been growing at Wiseline, and it's very cool because this is a woman in leadership initiative where we have found a way to teach how you can extend or you can handle motivation on your own motivation, because it does not matter what other factors there are, that you have this ability to motivate yourself. And this is one of the most important factors for growth in the development of a career. And this is what gets you right there to Mr. or Mrs. Developer. So this is what we're talking about when we are talking about this Women in Leadership initiative. This is the part that we have grown the most with exercises, because this is a program where Wiseline is trying to push and give to the community, not just internal but external, these tools that they need to improve their leadership, which is also a part that leads the way toward seniority. So what we find is three things that we need to take into account. You're always going to have external factors that are going to be determining your motivation. And this could be perhaps your salary, working with the technologies that you want to be working with, probably your prices, your bonuses, the perks that the company may have. All these external factors are things that you don't create by yourself, but that you just get. But then it's your motivation, your intrinsical motivation. And this is something that is not external because that comes from you. What you have internally, and it's what makes you a developer. This is what you care about, how basically you develop a thought about something that just happened to you. That is intrinsic motivation. So this is influenced and connected to what makes you you. So what makes you you. What's the third factor is the ability to use your extrinsic motivation, which is 60% of motivation, with intrinsic motivation, and to mix them both so that you can have a way of continuously motivating yourself. And joining these three things is the M factor, or the motivation factor, which is a constant motivation that does not end, using your external factors, knowing yourself intrinsically, and finding a balance between both things of about how you are going to be motivating yourself. And this is a very good model, which is comprised of four things that you are seeing here on screen. The first is to understand your energy and what are the things that you feel that drain your energy. There are things that we were surprised when we were talking about career development. When a developer is worried about something, 80% of their energy is being drained about that which they cannot control. So you need to understand what is worrying you and begin to exercise controlling this situation that is taking energy from you, and then understanding your needs. What's important for you? Because what's important for Mariel may not be important for Joaquín, but he has things that are important to him. So when you know what's taking energy away from you and what's important to you, you start to take control of the situation. The mere fact of having knowledge of what your energy drainers are and what's important for you is 50% of the work, and you can see it here in the pyramid that's on the right, where knowing your needs and your energy is the 50% of the job. And the other 50 is to know that you're good, how to use your talent to grow your career, knowing what takes energy from you, what are your needs, and what you're good at. And the final part is to find purpose. Studies say that there are three ways in which we work overall as people, not just developers, but just as human beings. And the first is to just let our goals lead by our decisions, and the other is to have our decisions be led by our goals, and the third is what we want is to have a purpose, and that the goals and the decisions are influenced by the purpose, because that is the flexibility. And to find this balance and to understand how to handle our purpose, our talents, our needs, and what is important for us and what takes energy from us, this is what we have found at Wiseline that help us start handling our own motivation to give you that empowering that we need, that power to all developers, so that they can say that this is what will motivate you, and that will not depend on anyone else but you. And that's the key that we have found for career growth that has impacted for a while, and that has pushed us and helped us to grow careers as we previously couldn't dream of. So, Joaquin, can you continue? Of course, yes. This is also to say that we are hiring. So if you're interested, Wiseline is a company that helps your professional growth. And I say it as someone who worked 10 years in my own company and then in another company that I started with some friends, and to arrive to Wiseline was very cool for me because I had this experience in a large company, in a global company with good values. We are hiring in many technologies: React, JavaScript, Node, Angular, and other technologies related to web, Rails, Java, data science, DevOps, PHP. And in particular, we have apprenticeship programs, which are programs for people that are just changing their career or have just graduated. We usually try to hire people with experience, but for January, we're going to open these apprenticeship programs so that in particular for data science and things that are not about programming, but programming Ruby on Rails and React. So if you're interested in working in these technologies, we invite you to our website,